Hello and welcome back to Morton's on the Move. Before we begin, I'd like to share a little background on the adventure you're about to see. This series was filmed at the beginning of 2020 when my wife Caitlin and I traveled to New Zealand primarily to film for the RVers TV show, in which some of this footage appears in Season 3. During our time there, the COVID-19 pandemic broke out, however, making things a little bit interesting. We had planned to release this series upon our return, but the pandemic made things a bit challenging and it just didn't feel right to release it at that time. However, this episode 1, was already edited, and 4 years later, I finally sat down and finished this series. So there may be some differences from episode to episode. Overall, however, we're very happy with how this turned out and excited to share this adventure with you. Our planet is an incredible place, and we're all fortunate to have it as such a unique home. Chances are you're watching this from one of the features that makes Earth unique: a continent. No other planets are known to have continents like our home, and in school we were taught that there were 7 continents, 7 major landmasses, 7 major geopolitical boundaries. But a scientific discovery made since our school years determined that there is actually an 8th continent, and we didn't even know this until we traveled to it. This is the story of our wild 5 weeks exploring Earth's incredible 8th continent. The definition of a continent we were taught was vague, and more so defined by convention rather than science. Geologists, however, define a continent more concisely, as a differentiated rock mass from the Earth's basaltic oceanic crust. If the geological definition of a continent is used, scientists have confirmed there is an 8th continent. It's the continent of Zealandia, and it's mostly underwater. 2 major islands, however, rise from its depths and form the country of New Zealand. This country has incredible geography, cultures, and animals, and it's relatively small, meaning that we're going to be able to see a lot of it in a short period of time. Our journey, however, began on the other side of the world in Florida, our home for the winter. My wife Caitlin and I live full-time in an RV and have traveled much of the US with our 2 dogs, Mocha and Bella. Our previous adventure was to the Arctic by truck camper, and was documented in a 20-episode series titled Go North. This trip north had been our first international RV trip and had whet our appetites for traveling beyond the borders we know. And the day that we wrapped up the edit for our northern adventures, we found ourselves at the airport, ready to travel to the other side of the world.
We made it to the airport.
Done.
Catch our breath.
I can't believe we're doing this.
I can't either. We haven't
This
even
is
had
so
time to
surreal.
wrap our minds around the fact that we're going to New Zealand for a month.
We're gonna wing this one. The first leg of our journey was taking us from Florida to Las Vegas. We weren't here to try our luck at the tables, but to meet up with our good friends, traveling companions, and co-workers that would be joining us for this adventure. John and Peter. These guys are expert RV travelers, run a website about RVing called the RV Geeks, and have been to many countries by RV already. A perfect pair to show us how it's done. John and Peter also co-host the RVers TV show with us that we would be filming for on this journey. We arrived late to stay the night with them, as our flight out was the next day. While checking in for our next flight, we saw the first warning signs of the challenges to come on this journey.
Alright, so the novel coronavirus outbreak has increased border restrictions. We are working with government agencies to ensure the safety of all passengers.
The next morning, we rented a van, packed up the loads of luggage and filming gear, and started our drive to Los Angeles. It's about a 4-hour drive across boring open desert to LA, but the highway does go right by the Ivanpah Concentrated Solar Power Plant. This facility uses over 100,000 mirrors to concentrate solar energy on boiler towers to make electricity, and is a blindingly bright sight to behold.
Really important considering the lighthouse done.
Upon reaching LA, we headed directly for LAX International Airport and began the process of navigating this bustling airport, checking in, finding our gate, and waiting.
Sullivan, very nice.
If I tag your back for you? We have about an hour and 45 minutes till our flight, which feels really good. We're not rushing. We get to relax.
It's a concept. Well, of course, we get to relax after all of the stress of going through TSA. That's...
As our plane arrived and we boarded, we were all pretty excited and acting a little goofy.
I just escaped from custody?
That's what Peter said.
This was a 13-hour flight from LAX to Auckland, New Zealand, crossing the equator and the international date line. This meant that since we were leaving late, we were skipping an entire day. And since it was February 28th on a leap year when we left, we were skipping a day that normally doesn't exist anyway.
Welcome to Auckland, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to New Zealand. I make the local time 9 minutes past 6.
Upon arriving, custom lines were very long, and we got some extra scrutiny as we had hiking gear with us from Alaska. New Zealand is very particular about anything coming into their country, as they have a very unique ecosystem that invasive plants and animals can easily damage.
Well, we made it here to New Zealand. The flight was actually not too bad, but we still didn't get enough sleep. We're pretty tired. Our first order of business is we are going to hang out here in Auckland for a couple days, rest up, get ready for the journey.
Welcome at the airport.
Oh, it makes me feel so at home.
Through all the lines, we grabbed a cab and headed off for our first stop at an Airbnb in downtown Auckland. We spent our first day getting caught up on rest as the city bustled around us.
So this is Auckland. It's a city of 1.5 million people, and we have rented an apartment down here in the central business district, 23 floors up, across from the Sky Tower, the tallest building in the city. You can see that Sky Tower from anywhere in the city, and it really defines the skyline of Auckland. This is a very multicultural city with a lot of Asian and Indian influence, and it also has the largest Polynesian population of any city in the world. They have an advanced economy of finance, tourism, technology, and also transportation, with a very active harbor that we've been watching the boats come and go from our balcony. The climate here is very subtropical and mild year-round, and while it's a very urban setting, there's a lot of green spaces, and on the horizon, here and there are volcanoes, as this was a very volcanic terrain that it's been built on over the years.
As it literally stands above everything else, we decided to start our tour of Auckland with the Sky Tower. You enter into the basement of the tower to get on the elevators, of which I was unaware had a very unique feature.
Oh, there we go.
Holy crap! Oh, that is.
Oh, look.
Oh, it's pretty cool.
It doesn't look real though, does it?
Heights are not my thing, and a glass floor in an elevator seems like a cruel joke on those of us with agoraphobia.
Oh, where is our balcony?
Nonetheless, we made it to the main floor where we settled in for lunch with an incredible view. What's great about the restaurant here is that the view is constantly changing. The restaurant rotates and gave us a 360-degree view of the city and harbor. After lunch, we hopped back on the terrifying elevators and headed up to the highest point you can go, the observation deck.
It's not that bad because look,
I'm having trouble with this.
Auckland is located on an isthmus, or a narrow bridge of land only 2 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. From our view in the Sky Tower, we could literally see all the way across this piece of land to the oceans on both sides of the country.
Somebody has a very nice garden in the center of the roof there. Somebody else has a hot tub.
There you go. Yay, Kate.
That's a little freaky.
More worrisome than it scratches.
Crazier still than the view is the activities you can do outside the Sky Tower. New Zealand is known for extreme sports, and here in the center of Auckland, we were seeing the first glimpses of this as people signed up to walk around the edge of the tower and even jump off with a wire guide to control your fall. This was definitely not going to happen for me, but we sure enjoyed watching and hearing the screams from those crazy enough to tempt the heights. With feet back on solid ground, we headed for the water to explore the harbor.
We are permitted.
Auckland's harbor is very busy, as we saw from the Sky Tower, with private yachts, water taxis, and cargo ships. But sailboats are really what dominate here. The waters around Auckland offer world-class sailing, and the city is home to Team New Zealand, known as the TNZ Sailing Team. They have a huge facility on the water and had one of their incredible America's Cup boats on display. After exploring the waterfront, we walked into the city to get a better feel for the business district. Along the way, we also explored a few parks and found them beautiful and fascinating with incredible historical architecture accented by old-growth trees. The fauna here has a very subtropical feel with a unique mix of deciduous trees and palms, teeming with singing insects.
Looks fully stretched.
Not quite. There it is. Oh my. Oh, I'm not doing that. Holy crap.
Look at the towers moving.
Oh, I think this thing really whips.
As evening fell, we headed back to our high-rise apartment to wrap up the day with a glass of wine overlooking the city at night. Part of our time spent here was just downtime, trying to adjust to the 12-hour time shift. We had some fun, got some rest, and just watched the goings-on in the city around us from our high-rise vantage point.
All right, Tom.
We're going to Devonport.
Devonport. Again.
We're going to Devonport!
On our second day in the city, we decided to try out the water taxi service and hop across the bay to the town of Devonport. Taxi service runs regularly and is quite cost-effective as it's used daily by commuters.
Kia ora. Welcome aboard this Fullest 360 operated vessel. In the event of an emergency, please remain calm and await instructions from the crew.
It's a good view of the city from over here.
Devonport is a cute and wealthy suburb of Auckland, and like many other areas of the city, has its own volcanic outcropping that we just had to hike up. This is Mount Victoria, and at 87 meters tall is an easy hike, but offers excellent views of the city below and across the water.
Yeah, look at you guys.
The top of the volcano houses a signal station for ships and remnants of old bunkers and artillery emplacements that once defended the harbor. With evening approaching, we headed back to the Devonport Business District for an excellent meal at a local brewery.
Okay, you ticket?
I got my ticket.
Here we go, take it.
After dinner, we caught a late-night water taxi back to Auckland City Center. We had one more night to rest up before the RV portion of our journey began.
We're going to pick up our camper vans today.
We had spent our first few days in New Zealand primarily recovering from jet lag, so we were excited to be picking up our camper vans, leaving the city, and getting out to explore more of this diverse continent.